Pretty much I'm just going to keep the meeting going smoothly, make sure everything's going all right. So pretty much I'll run down how the meeting goes. First section is going to be speeches. There's going to be 3 speakers tonight. They're going to present their prepared speeches. Second part is going to be table topics, where we practice our impromptu speaking. And then the third part is evaluations, where the evaluators who are assigned to the speakers will give an evaluation on the speeches. So let's go ahead and begin. Our first speaker is going to be Nasir, who will be presenting his speech number 5 from the Competent Communicator Manual. His speech is titled My Body, and it's going to be 5 to 7 minutes. Everyone please welcome Nasir.
So, my body. Did you know that your body can speak a language? No, it doesn't speak English, Chinese, Mandarin. Your body speaks a language known as body language. Now, body language stems from the questions, why is that guy standing like this? Why is he doing that with his arms? Why is he doing that with his legs? All those questions stem from body language. So let me play something for you. Your body speaks. How your body speaks is with your face, your arms, your legs. For example, with your face, your body will show a smile. So when you show a smile to somebody, it lets them know that your defense is down, that you want to be friends with them. Or also with your arms and palms, if you show open palms, that means it's showing honesty and like, come in, like, I want to hug you. That's what it shows. But if you have crossed arms, that's like unsocial, is like standoffish, like don't come near me. So this is how your body speaks. Arms is like same thing as legs. And then with this knowledge, you guys can use it to your benefit. Because if you know your own body and how it acts, then you can use that to your advantage. So if you talking to your friend, they're telling you all their problems, you don't want to stand back. You don't want to stand like this, like, yeah, I understand you. You want to be like, no, tell me more, smile. It's gonna let them bring their defenses down so they can open up to you, so y'all can become better friends. Now, not all the times your body, your mouth is gonna tell you something different than what your body shows. Now, because sometimes you could be in an interview, someone could be sitting like this. The interviewer could be sitting like this. Yeah, I understand you. Yeah, yeah, these points are very good. Now, you can tell by this body language, that he doesn't really care what you're saying. He's just saying that so you could hurry up with your speech and then get out of his office because he has better things to do. Now, knowing other people's body language, that's also could be used to your benefit. Because if you could see that he's doing that he's standing with his arms crossed, you can maybe give him something so then you can open up. If you open up your arms, it's going to open up your mind. So in conclusion, body language is a great asset to have in life. Because with it you can become bilingual, and because it's an unspoken language around the whole world. So for all you globetrotters around the world, you can use body language to communicate with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Nasir. So I forgot to mention a few things. One is that our timer, who is Steven, is sitting right there. So all of the speakers and evaluators, make sure you watch him for the time cards. Another thing is the word of the day is globetrotter, and it's basically someone who travels often to a lot of different countries. So if anyone today uses the word of the day, just give them some snaps. All right, so with that, just take the next few seconds to fill out your feedback forms for speaker number 1. So our speaker number 2 today is going to be Ryan. He is completing speech number 3 from the Confident Communicator Manual. His speech is titled, Why Julius Caesar is Important Today, and it will be 5 to 7 minutes. Please welcome Ryan.
All right. Who's heard of Julius Caesar? The Roman figure, yeah. So, of everybody in the past, Julius Caesar is the guy who I would want to go back and meet and have a conversation with. He's such an interesting figure. And so, by the end of the speech, everybody here will be able to list the 3 main reasons that we all should learn about Julius Caesar today. First off, he was a very influential person, and he has lasting effects on today's world. Second, he represents an example of how somebody can use charisma and political dealings to rise to power and become the emperor. And third, he represents how much impact one man can have on the world. He was emperor, and everything was under his command. So Julius Caesar was born in 100 BC. He was Roman, of course. And he was born to a powerful family. But he wanted even more power. And so at the time, the way a lot of people gained more power was they were a military leader. And so he set out on a conquest of Gaul. And this was the native tribes north of Rome. So unlike other native conflicts that we've had in history, these natives, there was no major technological difference, right? They were all fighting with swords. And so the fact that Caesar was able to conquer these giant groups of people who were actually more intimidating, they were larger figures, made him very popular. And he unified this giant area and created borders that we still use today, of modern-day Germany, Belgium, and France. And he went around much like a globetrotter today and conquered all these people. Something else you might not know, he created the Julian calendar, which was the first calendar to have 365 days. And he invented the leap year every 4 years. He put the British Isles on the map, according to Rome, when he went over there and conquered them, conquered some of the Celts over there. And he was a very influential figure for a lot of other reasons. But the main reason we should all learn about Julius Caesar is how he rose to power. He was an extremely charismatic figure. So, in his time, Julius Caesar was like a pop icon. He wore flamboyant clothing, he wore loose clothing, and this was not the style at the time, but he was setting trends among the rebellious youth. Because they had rebellious youth in Rome, just like we do today. And everywhere he went, he was like a rock star, like a superstar. And no matter what happened, he has so many interesting stories, but he also has some scandals. He was a womanizer. He was divorced 3 times. But despite all that, he was able to overcome and win the popular vote and the popular opinion. He's got a story really interesting. He was kidnapped by pirates when he was young. He was in his 20s. And they set the ransom for him at, say, 20 gold pieces. And he goes up to the pirates and he says, 20 gold pieces? I'm Julius Caesar. I'm worth more than that. So he bargains with them. He says, come on, at least 50 gold pieces. And so they say, okay. And so they set the ransom to 50 gold pieces. He's on release. Then he builds a fleet, attacks the pirates, and crucifies all of them. So he wasn't a great guy. But anyways, so interesting. He had a child with Cleopatra. He united the first triumvirate, which was Crassus, Pompey, and Caesar. And Crassus and Pompey were enemies. They didn't like each other. And he unified them and convinced them that they could all help each other, and eventually rose to the top of all that. Going back to the Gallic conflict, some people call it a Holocaust, because he would go into villages and he would massacre all the people. He would slaughter every man, woman, and child if they, didn't surrender. And he killed kind of like a race of people in the Celts. Many, many villages were destroyed and people died. But he was so charismatic and smart. He was his own historian. He was keeping records, and that's why we know about all this. And he spun history in such a way that he was seen as the good guy in the good light. And up until recently in history, he was the good guy, and only now are we looking back in a modern sense and seeing that, maybe he made this Holocaust. Maybe he killed all these people and slaughtered them. But up until then, it's just fascinating, his accounts, his records. And so, the third point is we can just take away from Julius Caesar that one person can rise to the top and how influential one person can be in this world. And he rose from a Roman government with senates and a collective voice to become the one emperor in control of everything. And if you look at today's world with Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un and all these world leaders, we can take examples of how somebody can rise to power through charisma, through political dealings, through corruption, through bribes, to get to the top and control much of the world, at the time, much of the known world. And so there's a lot of differences, right? I'm not comparing these two. But the point being is we can learn from Julius Caesar, and everybody should understand, the impacts that Julius Caesar has, how somebody can rise to power like that, and the influence and impact one person can have on the world. He also makes a good salad. So I like that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. So our next speaker is going to be Alex. He's completing speech number 3 from the Confident Communicator Manual, and his speech title is 3 Rules for UGA Students, and it'll be in 5 to 7 minutes. Everyone please welcome Alex.
Thank you very much. How many of you guys are freshmen? Just you're a freshman? Okay. How many of you know a freshman? Or at least a young person who you want to go to UGA? Yeah. These rules are going to be applied mostly to them. Because these are rules that most of us have already picked up. That we have figured out through trial and error. And that we want to pass on to younger generations. So that they know the mistakes that we've gone through. To start off, you have to be careful at the Tate Plaza. Let me be more specific. There are crazy religious people there at the Tate Plaza that will come right up to you and go, hey, have you heard of Jesus yet? No? How's it going? They're not really trying to sell you Jesus on that. I've gone up to them, talked to them, very politely. Oh, hey, what are you doing? What are your views? To have a civil conversation. And I remember 1 week before Easter Sunday, one of them looks at me and tells me, you're not really Christian. I believe in Jesus and that he died for my sins. Yeah, you're not doing it right. You're going to hell. You got to get through me. I'm the way to your salvation. It sounds ridiculous, but that's actually a conversation. The second area that you need to watch out for, or you need to tell other people to watch out for, is game day. Come on. Who has come late to a UGA game on a Saturday when it's blazing hot. You're making me feel self-conscious, guys. Because I have had experience where just about 5 hours, 5 whole hours I had before I had to go up and be there at the stadium. I'm at Wendy's on Barnett Shoals, and it's already backed up. The streets are backed up to who knows where. There's people coming in that have driven 8 hours to go see this. And I know because I talk to people on the bus, because I'm weird like that. People are crazy about game day here. You have to plan an event. You got to plan for before, during, and after. Who are you going to be with? Where are you going to park your car? All these factors have to be taken into consideration. Now the third. People are going to talk about their majors. We all have this. We all have that friend, because they're all of our friends here, that want to talk about our majors. I got a friend right here, Austin, loves to tell me about how tough some of his classes are that he has to go through. Biochem and Biochem 2. I'm surprised this kid's like not crying at this point for having to go through that kind of stuff. He's toughed it out, and I've had to hear every step of the way, man, this is tough. I'm not going to get through my homework, Alex. Yeah, you are, Austin. You got an A in that class. I don't know how. Yeah, professor. But I also have one of those majors that people, a little bit of a scorn at. I have 2 majors. Management, that's not the one. Finance. Yeah. See, already right there, Enrique is showing out loud, it's verbalized. I've seen people cringe at it, go like, why? Why would you put yourself through that? Because I get to talk about it all the time and sound like I'm doing it better than everybody else. And I've caught myself going like, Alex, hold on. Don't be like that. You know, they're doing their major, they're doing their thing. Maybe. And then sometimes it's like, nah, I had a really tough test today. I need to talk about it to someone. Because we all do it. We all talk about our majors. It's okay. It's supposed to be tough. Otherwise, we wouldn't feel so proud about it after we earned it. We want it. We're pushing ourselves to go through this midterm week with all these projects and everything else. Be proud of it. Be humble about it. And be aware that other people need to go through the same situation. Now, I'll give you 3 things to think about on that. And I want you to pass this down to a younger brother, sister, a cousin, maybe just a friend down the street. Because they need to know. They need to learn from our mistakes so that they have room to make their own mistakes. New ones that are different, that can add on and on. Because that's the whole point of this. We take from Julius Caesar. We learned from his mistakes and his triumphs. And we can progress the next generation to do better and better. Because as a business major, heck, I'm hiring these people. I want good people. Help me out here, people. Thank you, people.
Alright, thank you, Alex. So let's take the next couple of minutes to fill out the feedback slips for both speakers 2 and 3. Timers, were all our speakers in time?
Nasir was a little bit short, but the other 2 were not.
Right on.
1:30.
And also make sure to vote for your number 1 and 2 speaker as well. Or just number 1 speaker.
Oh, make sure that in the Nasir, unfortunately, cannot be part of the vote.
Oh yeah, so because Nasir was not in the time, he unfortunately cannot be part of the vote. So.
So sorry.
You're good.
What's up, bro? How are you?
Alright, so I'll move into the next part of our meeting, which is going to be Tabletopics, and I'll be led by our Tabletopics master, Dennis. So everyone invited to the stage.
So, the topic for today is for all of you float trotters out there. It's travel. And I love traveling. It's one of my favorite hobbies. And last December, my mom left Europe for the first time and came to visit me here. And when she drove here, she got a navigation system by the car company, and she ended up needing 3.5 hours from Atlanta to Athens. So there were some difficulties. Back then, it wasn't that common to travel. So I'd like to know of you guys, what makes traveling easier for you today? And I'd like to welcome Enrique.
So what's the question then?
What makes traveling easier for you?
Oh, Marcus Rob.
Oh,
I guess what makes traveling easier for me would obviously be to have a good navigation system, being able to understand it too. You don't want to, travel from Atlanta to Athens and then end up in Greece accidentally. So yeah, definitely navigation system. Having a couple snacks with you, that's always nice. On a long road trip, just being able to munch on, like Skittles or maybe potato chips. That's always nice. Let me see what else. Having a couple of friends with you, that's definitely a plus. Maybe, I think I might bring Tyler Chan with me on my next road trip. Yeah, you, that's right. Yeah, bring some good friends with you. You can joke around, tell some stories. Maybe you even learn something new about them. What else? What else is good? And I think also bringing, this is gonna sound a little bit cheesy, but maybe also bringing like a little bit of spontaneity to your trip. Being able to decide, in the moment, hey, let's do something different. Let's go to the path less traveled and do something crazy, something you didn't really expect. I think that'd be, really, really cool to bring with you. That spontaneity. Thank you.
Okay, just a quick question. Who has ever left America? Okay, most of you. And who has ever left, like, the continent, North America? Okay, almost everyone. Perfect. So, when I traveled to Peru, the easiest thing for me, or what helped me most to travel through whole South America, was that I was able to speak Spanish. It really helped me to embrace the culture. And that's what I really like about traveling, that I love kind of like ditching the touristy spots and going to embrace the culture. So I'd like to know of you, when you are traveling to a country, what would you do to learn about the culture and meet locals without speaking their local language? Like Jessica.
I'm very excited because I can answer this one. I just wrote a paper about it, so I am very excited. This is going to be amazing. So, when I went to Malaysia, I had the opportunity to teach financial education to children. And the intern coordinator allowed us to live with the family. So they actually live in something called a longhouse. So I don't know how to describe it other than to say it's a long house. And there are houses that are next door to each other. And so once you step out on your front porch, like if you look right here, your neighbors are sitting. So the house is connected. So I stayed one time, and everybody else wanted to go outside and do some type of whatever. I wasn't having because it was 100 degrees outside. I'm not playing with people about the heat. But I stayed and started to smell something from the kitchen. I'm like, ooh, collard greens. Nope, not collard greens. Wrong country. Smelled it, and I realized that the lady living there, Florence, she was cooking paku, chanko manis, and all different types of food. And I indicated to her that I would love to learn how to cook because you cannot enjoy somebody's culture without learning how they eat. I mean, come on. Plus not to her. So she taught me how to prepare the entire meal without speaking a lick of English. And I obviously did not know any Bahasa Malay. So there's actually a point where she was trying to tell me to cut the carrots at an angle just because it looks cuter. And I was cutting them straight. And, and then so she's shooting up to me, she's like, and apparently I'm just, funny or whatever, so she told everybody that I was the funniest person she's seen. And so I'm just like, if y'all don't stop playing with me. But yeah, so I can say if you don't know people's food, you don't know their culture. The end.